They say the desert keeps its secrets. But in Arizona, the shadows don't just stretch long. They whisper. From abandoned gold mines to ghostly hotels, still taking reservations, this sun-scorched state hides more than rattlesnakes and cactus. Here, spirits don't rest just because the air is dry. They wander. They knock. They whisper your name when no one's around. So grab a flashlight and maybe a spare pair of nerves, because we're about to explore 10 haunted places in Arizona where even the heat can't keep the dead away. Don't forget to like, comment your favorite haunt, and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. Ready? Let's begin. On Jerome Grand Hotel, Jerome, perched high on Cleopatra Hill. The Jerome Grand Hotel wasn't always a welcoming place for travelers. Built in 1926 as the United Verde Hospital, it was once filled with the cries of the injured, the murmurs of the dying, and the quiet whispers of nurses moving silently through its halls. Today, the hospital has transformed into a luxurious hotel, but some guests who check in never truly feel alone. Visitors often wake in the middle of the night to distant, muffled screams echoing down deserted hallways. Even more unsettling are the old metal patient gurneys, long left as relics in dark corners, that guests swear move silently from one side of the corridor to another, completely on their own. Room 32 is where many refuse to stay a second night. Guests describe feeling watched, as though unseen eyes follow every movement. Some awake to an oppressive weight on their chest, unable to breathe. Certain something stands beside their bed, just beyond sight. And then there are the figures in hospital gowns, shadowy outlines, gliding quietly along dimly lit hallways, vanishing into doorways that remain locked. Stay here if you dare, but remember, some past residents of Jerome Grand Hotel may not appreciate new visitors disturbing their eternal rest. 2. Birdcage Theater, Tombstone. In Tombstone, Arizona, a town notorious for its gunslingers and gamblers, no building holds on to its history, quite like the Birdcage Theater. Once the wildest venue of the Old West, this place served as a theater, gambling den, and saloon with a brothel upstairs. It's said to be one of the most authentic remnants of that lawless era. But authenticity here comes at a haunting price. Over the years, at least 26 people met their violent end within these walls, their blood still rumored to stain the wooden floorboards beneath layers of dust. Bullet holes from long-forgotten shootouts remain scattered along the walls, permanent scars of a brutal past. Visitors today report hearing sudden bursts of laughter from empty rooms, raucous, vibrant, yet strangely hollow. Others hear the distinct tapping of high-heeled shoes pacing the upper floors late at night, though no living soul remains inside. Even more unsettling are the ghostly shapes that flicker across the main stage, shadows moving as if caught between performances, still seeking applause from a long-gone audience. Spend enough time in the Birdcage Theater, and you might start to wonder if the Wild West ever truly ended, or if its echoes linger here, eternally performing beneath Tombstone's desert sky. 3. Hotel Monte Vista, Flagstaff. In the heart of downtown Flagstaff, the historic Hotel Monte Vista has hosted travelers, celebrities, and mysterious visitors alike since 1927. But some guests here have overstayed their welcome by nearly a century. Behind its charming facade lies a reputation that sends chills down even the bravest spines. Guests frequently report sudden knocking on their doors, sharp, insistent taps in the early hours. But when they open up, the hallways stand empty, silent except for the distant hum of flickering neon signs. Even more unnerving are the telephones ringing spontaneously inside locked, vacant rooms. Staff who answer these calls hear nothing but static or faint whispers they can't quite understand. No source, no explanation, just an eerie reminder that someone or something is still trying to reach out. The hotel's most famous spirit, known simply as the Breathing Man, appears as a shadowy figure seated quietly at the foot of guests' beds. Visitors who wake in the middle of the night see him hunched forward, head bowed, his rhythmic breathing loud enough to fill the entire room. When lights snap on, he's gone, leaving behind nothing but the cold imprint of a presence that never truly left. At Hotel Monte Vista, the past doesn't sleep, and after staying here, neither will you. Fear. Vulture Mine, Wickenburg. Once Arizona's most prosperous gold mine, Vulture Mine in Wickenburg now stands silent, abandoned, and cloaked in shadow, built on greed, ambition, and desperation. The mine didn't just bring wealth, it brought tragedy. Thieves who tried to steal gold were swiftly executed, their lives ending abruptly beneath the hanging tree that still stands stark against the sky. Today, those who dare wander through this deserted settlement describe unsettling experiences that echo the site's grim history. After sunset, the faint but unmistakable sound of pickaxes striking rock drifts up from tunnels long sealed, as if phantom miners still search relentlessly for their fortune. The most disturbing stories revolve around an old, dry well near the mine's entrance. Visitors swear they've seen dark silhouettes climbing slowly out of the depths, only to vanish into the desert darkness. Some say these are the condemned thieves, eternally trapped between greed and punishment. Visitors frequently speak of becoming disoriented, suddenly unable to find the trail they followed just minutes before. Many recount an overwhelming sensation of being watched from behind ruined stone walls or abandoned wooden structures. At Vulture Mine, the gold ran out, but whatever lingers there now seems determined to hold on forever. 5. Yuma Territorial Prison, Yuma. Perched along the banks of the Colorado River, the historic Yuma Territorial Prison was Arizona's most infamous lockup. From the late 1800s, this imposing fortress housed some of the Southwest's most notorious outlaws and killers, a place where suffering lingered long after sentences ended. Today, visitors walking through the now silent cell blocks sense an immediate unease. The isolation cells, known as the dark cells, once used to punish unruly prisoners, seem to retain an echo of pain. Many report sudden blasts of cold air, even on the hottest desert afternoons. Others describe hearing faint, despairing cries seeping through thick stone walls, as though the prisoners never truly found release. The most chilling presence is a shadow figure frequently spotted near the iron-barred gates at dusk, a tall, dark outline, standing perfectly still, watching intently. Some who have approached this mysterious figure describe feeling paralyzed with dread, certain they are being silently judged by something trapped between worlds. Those who enter Yuma Territorial Prison quickly realize that, for some inmates, incarceration never ended. Their spirits still linger in the sweltering desert heat, forever waiting behind bars, restless, unforgiven, and unwilling to be forgotten. 6. The Orpheum Theater, Phoenix. Built in the glittering 1920s, Phoenix's Orpheum Theater was once a dazzling centerpiece of entertainment and glamour. Today, it remains beautiful, but something behind its velvet curtains refuses to fade into history. Staff and guests alike whisper stories of Maddie, a mysterious little girl dressed all in white, seen silently standing among empty theater seats, often spotted by performers rehearsing late into the night. Maddie watches quietly, her small figure illuminated briefly by dim stage lights. But when someone approaches, she disappears, leaving nothing but a faint chill behind. Perhaps most unsettling is her love of playing with the theater's electronics. Projectors flicker on and off spontaneously, casting shifting shadows across vacant rows. The heavy velvet curtains rustle as if brushed gently by tiny hands, even though no breeze moves through the building. Many visitors recall feeling an unexpected tug on their clothes or hearing soft laughter echoing through deserted corridors. Most agree it's Maddie still waiting for a performance she'll never see, quietly haunting her favorite seat, a ghostly patron in a theater that never truly goes dark. At the Orpheum, every seat is occupied even when the audience can't be seen. 7. Fort Huachuca, Sierra Vista. Fort Huachuca, nestled in the rugged mountains of Sierra Vista, is more than just one of the oldest active military installations in the American Southwest. It's a place layered with centuries of conflict between soldiers and the harsh desert, between settlers and native tribes, and, perhaps most hauntingly, between the living and the dead, long after taps have sounded and the barracks have quieted. Soldiers still report being stirred awake by footsteps that stop just beside their beds, by voices speaking in languages no longer heard, or by the icy sensation of being watched from the shadows. Some have witnessed ghostly riders in full cavalry uniform, galloping silently across the dusty parade grounds just before dawn, only to vanish as the sun rises. Others speak of rhythmic war drums beating faintly in the still morning air. No source, no ceremony, just the ghostly echoes of battles long over. It's not uncommon for guards patrolling at night to spot figures in outdated uniforms walking the perimeter, who vanish before a challenge can be called. Some say these are spirits of buffalo soldiers still guarding their posts. Others whisper older legends of native warriors whose land was taken, but whose presence remains deeply rooted in the desert soil. At Fort Huachuca, history isn't just preserved, it's still marching. 8. Slaughter Ranch, Douglas. Tucked away in the borderlands near Douglas, Slaughter Ranch looks like a forgotten postcard from the Old West quiet, windswept, surrounded by rustling mesquite and distant mountains. But the silence here is heavy, watchful, as though something unseen is always just behind the curtain. Once owned by John Slaughter, a former sheriff and rancher, with a reputation as both a folk hero and a feared man, the ranch is steeped in legend and blood. Whispers persist that Slaughter dealt with his enemies personally, and that some of them never made it off the property. Old-timers claim bones were once found buried behind the horse stables, their origin never officially explained. Visitors today speak of a strange stillness around the main house. Windows reflect more than just the landscape. Some report glimpses of a man in a wide-brimmed hat watching from the second floor, even when the house is locked and empty. Others feel eyes following them along the fence line, though no one else is around for miles. Lights flicker without cause, Doors creak open as if pushed gently by invisible hands. And at night, the wind carries faint whispers, too soft to understand, but impossible to ignore. At Slaughter Ranch, the desert doesn't just remember, it watches. 9. The Copper Queen Hotel, Bisbee. The Copper Queen Hotel in Bisbee wears its age like fine lace, charming, historic, and just a little frayed around the edges. Operating since 1902, it proudly claims the title of Arizona's oldest, continually running hotel. But behind the polished brass and vintage wallpaper, something else lingers. Something, or someone, waiting on the 3rd floor. Her name is Julia Lowell, once a woman of scandal and sorrow. Julia was said to be a lady of the night who fell in love with a hotel guest, a love unreturned. When rejection shattered her world, she ended her life in one of the rooms upstairs. But Julia, it seems, never truly left. Guests, especially men, often speak of a sudden chill brushing their skin as they drift to sleep, followed by the distinct sensation of someone leaning close to their ear, soft breath, and a voice that murmurs words they can't quite understand. When they turn the light on, the room is empty, but the feeling of her presence clings to the walls. Others have seen her a woman in a flowing dress, pacing the 3rd floor hallway, as if still waiting for someone who promised to return. She disappears around corners, only to appear again in mirrors, lingering just out of reach. At the Copper Queen, some romances never die, they simply haunt. 10. Casa Grande Domes, Casa Grande. In the sun-blasted outskirts of Casa Grande lie the remains of something that looks more alien than Arizonan massive. Crumbling concrete shells shaped like landed UFOs, originally intended to be a tech manufacturing plant in the 1980s. Construction of the Casa Grande Domes was mysteriously abandoned. What's left behind is a cluster of eerie structures that seem to hum with something unnatural. Step beneath one of the domes, and you'll immediately notice it, an uncanny echo that warps your own voice, bouncing it back in whispers you didn't make. Some say it feels like the domes are mimicking you. Others believe they're answering. Electronic devices glitch without warning. Phones refuse to record. Compasses spin. Visitors report disorientation, sudden nausea, or the bizarre sensation of walking in circles, even though they're on a straight path. It's as if the space inside the domes bends in ways your senses weren't meant to interpret. At night, the silence becomes oppressive. A few who've dared to explore after dark have described deep, throaty rumbles that come from underground, too rhythmic to be wind, too unnatural to be ignored. Lights flash in the distance with no source. Footsteps echo from within, long after everyone has left. At Casa Grande Domes, reality feels thinner, and whatever breathes beneath those shells might be listening. So, still think the desert is empty? From whispering domes to ghost brides in forgotten hotels, Arizona proves that even in the blazing sun, some shadows never fade. These spirits aren't just legends, they're residents. And they're not done watching. If any of these places gave you chills, let me know in the comments. And if you ever check into room 32, maybe don't turn off the lights. Like, subscribe, and stay curious, because some roads are better left unexplored, but we'll explore them anyway. See you in the next haunted journey.